If you've ever wondered if it's possible to make a combination of donuts and French toast underwhelming, well then, wonder no more. Welcome to episode 3 of Adam's Adventures in Lockdown. Now, perhaps counterintuitively, even though this is the lockdown series, episode 3 is brought to you from our holiday cottage. Seeing as how we are on holiday, I don't really have the capability or motivation to do a full-on video this week. But seeing as how the Adam's Adventure channel is becoming quite the worldwide phenomenon, Seeing as how the Adam's Adventures channel is garnering quite the fan base, I didn't want to let them down. So, we're going to run a 2-part experiment. Part 1, can you French toastify day-old donuts? And part 2, should you French toastify day-old donuts? Or is it better to just eat them as they are? Let's find out together. As usual, no need to like or subscribe unless you would like to. Just give this recipe a go and let me know what you think. Before we get started, one quick disclaimer. If you are hoping for an in-depth and well-tested French toast recipe, this is not the video for you. I'll link to something that's slightly more up your street in the description, a video from one of my favourite YouTubers, Alex the Cooking Guy. Anyway, on with the video. So, a basic French toast custard recipe calls for eggs, milk, sugar, and cinnamon. Oh, and some kind of bread product. I'm using Sainsbury's sugared ring donuts. Mix whatever custard ingredients you have foraged in a container that approximately matches the size of your bread product. Insert your bread product and leave for about 10 minutes to soak up, ensuring that you flip in the middle somewhere. Now, certain holiday cottage owners may have a legitimate concern that persons such as myself may try to utilize their hob unsupervised. To combat this, they may install a hob with an inbuilt intelligence test. If you are ever faced with this conundrum, then spoiler alert, it turns out that this symbol means you need to place a pan on the hob before it will activate. At the time, I felt tremendous pride at deducing this all by myself, but looking back at the footage, I feel only shame. Melt some butter in your pan and then proceed to fry your French toast, flipping occasionally. Your French toast will be ready approximately 2 minutes before it looks like this. We can now plate up our French toast donut with a control donut and proceed with the experiment. Part 1. Can you French toastify a day-old donut? The French toast donut that we have crafted isn't terrible. It's not great, but it's not terrible. So, in answer to our first question, yes. Part 2. Should you French toastify a day-old donut? The control donut is everything I want from a good donut. So, for our second question, if you've got good donuts, probably not. I don't think a donut is necessarily the most appropriate vessel for French toast custard, and it's also lost a lot of what makes a donut great. So if you're someone who loves donuts and loves French toast, like myself, I think you're better off just keeping them separate. But before we draw a firm conclusion, as with any good scientific experiment, we do need to consider our variables and our caveats. Firstly, you should consider that I am an unsupervised below average baker. I feel reasonably confident in saying that there are many people who could have done a much better job of this than I did. I don't know how well this comes across in these videos, but I really have no idea what I'm doing. Secondly, Sainsbury's doughnuts, in my opinion, are on the high end of the donut quality spectrum.
Not a sponsor.
Even when they're a day old. Thirdly, I am somewhat of a donut purist who believes that the simplest donuts most often are the best. You should consider that I have a definite bias against messing with the donut status quo. With all that in mind, I think the fairest conclusion we can come to is that due to my incompetence in the kitchen and my inherent bias, I was not the appropriate person to undertake this experiment. So you'll just have to try it for yourself and see what you think. So that's episode 3 done. Apologies that it was a tad shorter, a tad more unconventional than the first 2, and devoid of any actual useful information, but hopefully you still found it interesting. I'll look to do an episode 4 when we're back from our holiday. Until then, I hope you stay safe, I hope you stay well, and I will see you then.